In this video, I am going to be taking you through how to build lean muscle and totally transform your physique and just really commit to leveling up with your training, and also a bit about your nutrition and simple strategies that you can start implementing from today. I've been on a big journey over this past 6-7 months now where I've totally managed to transform my physique, and it's taken years to get to this point. And these are the things that I feel like I wish I knew and started implementing. It's not about reinventing the wheel and trying out a new workout every single week. It really goes back to just those staples, but doing those staple things in the gym well and progressing over time. So if you've been on this reinvention journey, you will know the processes that we've been going through over this past few months, and I'm so excited to enter this next phase, which is more of a lean build phase. And I want to talk you through my new gym plan and what my plan is for results. If you're struggled with committing to doing any form of like lean build phase and just getting out of your calorie deficit, this is the video for you. I totally can relate as well. Like, I've been stuck, kind of scared to build, scared to actually commit to any sort of gain, and that is what keeps you stuck for so long. So my current goal is to put on some lean muscle tissue. We have got an hourglass figure on the menu. That is what I want to work towards and sculpt my physique, get stronger and just feel better within my sessions. It's about a gradual approach with, say, if you have been in a calorie deficit or you've done a fat loss phase for a big extended amount of time, you want to gradually build up to at least maintenance and then into a surplus, and from there. And it can be as little as adding on 50 to 100 calories and just building that way. If you're sat on very low calories, you know, you're averaging 1400 calories on a day-to-day basis for kind of months, and you maintain your weight but you don't really change, you want to get out of that position. Like, you don't always want to be on low calories and in a calorie deficit, because it's really hard to put on muscle in that place. And if you want to create a visibly leaner physique, that comes from having more muscle mass. And also, muscle is a more expensive tissue. This is how I like to put it. So when you carry more muscle, you can afford more calories. So the goal is to have more muscle mass all round. You're not going to turn into the Hulk or get big and bulky. Like, I promise you, you're really not. And please, I really want you to get out of that mindset of thinking that. If you want to create like a more sculpted, leaner, not sort of soft looking physique, we need you to get some more muscle mass, and it can be done in a real gradual way. When you kind of see or visualize like that you've got in your head, you're like, oh no, I can see this like bulky self. That comes from more so your nutrition and maybe entering a surplus a bit too quick, and also not adjusting your actual macro split, because calories determine your weight but macros determine how your body looks. If your nutrition is filled out with just lots of things like chocolate, over processed foods, and you're eating say 1500 calories but of like mainly processed foods, versus eating 1500 calories to 200,000 calories of whole foods, you're going to have two different looking physiques ultimately, and your digestion is going to be totally different. So the goal is to be strength training in order to create more lean muscle mass, which is what I'm going to take you through. I did a competition over 3.5 weeks ago now, which was a bodybuilding competition, and got myself super stage lean, and that's not maintainable, healthy whatsoever. So you don't want to ever sit in a low body fat position like that. That's unsustainable, for example. So it's about reversing out of that phase gradually, and obviously keeping your body as healthy as possible. So my current goals are to be as healthy as possible. So right now my protein is super high, and that's what you want to keep as high as possible throughout any phase, calorie deficit, calorie surplus. But to be building muscle, you obviously need to be providing it with that. And this process, it's not something that's done in a week. It takes work, consistency as well. Today I'm going to take you through my lower body session. I'm looking forward to this. The glute days have been hitting differently. I've just got a coffee here, and we're going to go and train lower body. It's a Saturday when I'm filming this as well, so I love training on a weekend. I feel like I just can take my time a bit more too. Okay, what I always do is start on the treadmill and just go over my session. That way we can multitask, get our steps in. I'm now training 5 days a week in the gym, so I've got to change that from 4 days, and I'm going to see how I get on with this and see how my recovery is. So 5-day gym split, 2 rest days, and how I like to divide it is I'll usually do Monday lower, Tuesday upper, rest on a Wednesday, and then lower Thursday, upper Friday, and then I'm really enjoying a Saturday session. First things first, on a lower day, always make sure I do just a quick warm up and just activate my actual glutes. I feel like I've got the world's sleepiest glutes. Like these will just not turn on, basically, if I don't do a little bit of this. I know how tempting it is to skip on it, but yeah, please make sure you don't. And then starting off with a weaker body part first. So starting with 45-degree back extensions. I think I spent about 10 minutes trying to readjust this flipping machine to the right hip height. I'm also enjoying training in the winter months in joggers and resembling a marshmallow, and then I can just strip off when I'm ready to into my shorts. So with your gym sessions, when you are in a build phase, you want to make sure you're having fueled workouts rather than fasted workout. Definitely notice you'll feel so much stronger in your lifts, in your lower body days when you have a fueled workout. So have something carb focused. So I'd actually had 3 meals already this day, and I just noticed that my actual performance, I can lift a lot heavier. Some of the benefits of building lean muscle is that you're then in a better position for future fat loss. So when you next enter a deficit later on, when you've got more lean muscle, you're in a much stronger position for fat loss, and you're not going to have to go into as much of a deficit, say, in the future. And this is because muscle is metabolically expensive, so it burns more calories at rest, meaning you can eat more while staying leaner because those calories are fueling your muscle. And I think we can all get a bit confused by this at times. Not only that, but you can also improve your body composition. So building lean muscle helps you achieve that toned look whilst minimizing fat gain along the way. So this is why you can do it really well if you gradually, say, increase your calories over time, like rather than going into a big surplus. Like if you're wanting to minimize the fat gain, then you can just do it in a small way over time. And then my plan for building lean muscle is gradually increasing my calories each week, so bringing up my calories while keeping my gut health and things in check, and then just making adjustments based on kind of biofeedback. So just paying attention to how my body responds, like my energy levels, training quality, and how I'm recovering from my actual sessions. I'm doing a warm-up set, so I'll use either no weight or just like a lighter weight, just to like really concentrate on getting that mind to muscle connection, and then move into my 2 working sets of 10 to 15 reps, and then in my last set 15 to 20 reps. And with this exercise, I rest between 160 seconds to 180 seconds, and I just make sure things like this, like I'm tracking my actual rest time so that I'm not just rushing in between sets, because I know it's easy to do that, or you'll be like, oh, I think I'm like ready to go again, but you want to be at a point where like you're pushing yourself that much that you need that full rest time in order to kind of go again. Like that's a good indicator that you're pushing enough in your actual sessions. And with the back extension, I can't decide which I prefer, to be honest. Like I feel like I can feel it more in my glutes when I have my arms straight in front of me rather than at my chest. I'm still undecided on this, to be honest, but this is the other thing, like we all have different limb lengths and different hip positions, and like what might feel comfortable to me might feel less comfortable to you. So make sure you're going off of like what feels right and best for you, like, and just make small adjustments from there. I'm taking my feet slightly wider as well, so like pointing outwards to bias my glutes a little bit more. This is the gym that I was training at. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I love how it has heating. Like I feel like in winter a lot of gyms are just ice boxes. And then I'm using heavy, so I'm tracking my actual weights just so that I make sure each week that I'm increasing my weights. That's another thing that I've changed, and I'm making sure I'm really pushing. Like I feel like towards the back end of my deficit, I just was simply really struggling with the weight side of things, like actually being able to increase and progress in my lifts. Like I'd really plateaued towards the end of my bodybuilding prep. Next exercise, I'm moving into lying hamstring curl. This is one of my favourite hamstring movements, and I'm really excited to get stronger hamstrings, and that kind of pushes your glute up as well. Like when you build that muscle there, I feel like I just stopped training mine for a few years, and yeah, I feel like they've been weaker. So this is something that I'm working on, and I find lying variations are better than a seated one for some reason. I just feel them a lot more. And I'm doing 2 working sets. So again, I just start with a warm-up set, and then I go into 2 sets of 8 to 12 reps, and just make sure on those last sort of 3 reps, so say if you're going for 8 to 12 reps, like that I'm finding it challenging enough. I don't know what it is with me and hamstring curls, but I do sometimes get a bit uncomfortable. Like, I think it actually is because they've been a weaker part of mine. So I feel like I can't just shove up loads of weight without then throwing out my form. So I just have to be patient with this one. And even if each week you're not going up, I don't know, 5 kg, which is just, that's never going to be realistic, but you're managing to get, say, an extra rep out and looking at your strength that way, especially if it is a movement like this that you might find a little bit harder or a little bit awkward to get the right position in. And this is everything, like, you want to make sure that you position the actual machine right for your body, and that's going to be different too. I know it's easy to just kind of get a bit slack and lazy with something like that.
Luckily, there's 2 line hamstring curl machines in this gym, and obviously it's not always the case, but this feels so better than the other machines. So like different branded equipment, it's going to feel slightly different. You also notice even with your weights, like they might differ between, so you can lift 45 kg on one and 55 on another, and you're like, how is that the same weight? But obviously each brand is going to be slightly different, so don't ever feel like just hamstring by that, and just adjust based on like that machine.
If you do need help with a structured program, then of course I've got you covered. We have got the Lean Aligned 8-week challenge starting on the 13th of January 2025, which is an 8-week fat loss program and has gotten results for girlies who have never been able to actually stick to a program. You're joining a team of flowy girlies. You're not doing this on your own anymore. If you're someone who thrives when you've got a routine, you know what you're working towards, you understand how, and everything's clearly laid out, you're gonna love this. It's a gym-based program for the absolute best results. We're sculpting an hourglass physique, so working on our glutes as well as creating that smaller waist by working on our back and shoulders. It includes our weekly check-ins for accountability, so everything is logged and you can actually start building your bank of evidence. One of our flowy girlies, Agatha, is dropped 4.2 kg over the 8 weeks. She's feeling way more energetic and a lot happier. We also have our weekly calls with myself and Mason. We have experts who come in each week. We've got doctors, hormone specialists, skin specialists, you name it. Flowness is about creating flow in your life across all areas. I don't believe in just addressing, say, your fitness routine or just your nutrition, because everything is so connected. I'm so excited to hopefully see you inside the Flowness Club along with our amazing flowy girlies who are there to support you every single step of the way. Next up, we have single leg press. Oh my God, these are really humbling. So downstairs in this gym, I went on like the normal leg press, you know, the angled one, which I much prefer. There was no weight on the flipping thing and I could not lift. It just was not moving. So I had to just humble myself, go upstairs and use this little leg press. Hopefully I'm gonna get stronger over time, but I don't love this actual machine because it's not the biggest range of motion, but just making do with what I had, and I still made sure I used a challenging weight. And with this, like, I almost probably went down by 30%, and then I consciously just made the decision, and this is something that you'll need to do too, just like to consciously say, like, if you want to see change, you want to grow and get stronger, you really do need to be increasing those weights. And one thing you won't see with me is, like, I'm not going to be doing loads of different exercises. Like, in order to progress as well, we need to be repeating that movement pattern and being able to progress over time. Like, this is why following a program for a minimum of 8, 12 to 16 weeks and longer is so beneficial. Like, say if you change out your movement patterns and your central nervous system's just got used to, say, doing a hip thrust, and then you take out the hip thrust and start doing a back squat, it's like totally different patterns, and you'll no doubt have to start with a much lower weight and things like that. So it is better to keep consistent with your movements. If you do need help with your programming as well, I have my challenges and programs that I'm super excited for. So yeah, I like to rest. So with the single leg press, I like to rest about 45 seconds in between each leg, just so that I have myself a breather. And then what you want to do with your non-working leg is just have it pointed straight forward, as in you want it so that your hips aren't sort of shooting off in different directions. It's really easy to not end up squaring your hips, and then you're kind of in an awkward position and you don't want to get injured here. God, I can tell I was struggling here. So I did 2 working sets of 10 to 15 reps. Next up, we have one of my favorite Glute Max kickback variations. So this one is tricky to get the hang of at first, and you kind of have to use lightweight just to get the right foot positioning, but there's so much stability in this exercise, and it's an amazing glute stabilization exercise. So this is something that I've added into my routine, as in just stopped doing a lot of isolation work, and I mainly focused on my compound lifts for a few years whenever I was in the gym, mainly because I feel like I wasn't as consistent, like I wasn't doing as many gym workouts, so I kind of just wanted to get the most bang for my buck. However, I really want to grow and blow up these glutes, so glute isolation work is so important, and making sure that you're targeting your glute from different angles, so like different planes, and this is a really nice glute max bias one. So position it on the knee and then you want it just above your arm, and then I love that you can actually hold on to the cable with both hands so you can get really stable, and then going heavy with this as well, which is what I like, and I feel like that is what makes a difference with these exercises, because otherwise you can just do 15 reps with very little weight and not really feel like you're doing much, or I can already hear you saying, oh, I don't really feel these in my glutes, and it's most likely because you're not going heavy enough and you haven't got that positioning right. It's worth just taking 5 minutes, just setting yourself up so you can really get into that upper glute and build some strength there. Again, this part of my glutes and my hamstrings is probably my weaker part, so that's currently what the goal is with them. And here I'm doing a 2-1-1 tempo, so adding a 1 second pause at the top, which is just chef's kiss, and you really feel it. Again, resting about 180 seconds in between each set. I do each leg like straight after the other. I don't really rest in between these ones, and going for 15 to 20 reps and just making sure at the last few reps that I am finding that difficult. Last exercise is the adductor. I've not worked my inner thigh in, I'm gonna say 5 years. So, I only did this last week for the first time, and Jesus, the next day I could barely walk. But this is another area that I want to work on, and I'm only doing 2 working sets, so I generally like to do my little warm-up set and then get into this one, and you'll most likely also have to drop the weight for this. It is a really weird sensation on this machine, but a real good one, and just as you can see, we've got a very well-rounded lower body session with this one. But yeah, just 2 working sets of 10 to 15 reps and 180 seconds rest in between each set. You want to make sure you are pulling the facial expressions too. That is when you know you're working. I used to just kind of sit on machines and be smiling away like da, 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 da. And I really do know that now I just wasn't working hard enough. So my session took about 74 minutes, which isn't bad for a leg day, because you end up spending a lot of time actually just setting up machines, don't you, to be fair. And just thought I'd share something that really helps with my water intake, and something that I've done for a really long time, which is add in electrolytes. So these are really convenient for travel ones. I'll pop them in the link down below. This is the elderberry Hermantra one off Amazon. So I just pop one in and then fill up my water. So this is about 1.5 litre, and I just think when you add like a BCAA or electrolyte, it just makes it a lot easier. Oh my gosh, my girl's got her jewels on for Christmas. Anyway, this is the bit that feels really weird when you strip off in the gym. I actually just feel like I've resembled just a big, gigantic marshmallow lately, but as I'm getting older, I just think comfort just comes first for me now. Like, it used to not be that way. So, current cardio routine is 2 Stairmaster sessions a week of half an hour each, just keeping my heart rate at zone, like nice low heart rate. I'm not doing any kind of HIIT or anything high intensity at the minute, and I've just literally tapered that right back down from the 5 cardio sessions that I was doing a week in prep, which was 30 minutes times 5, which was a lot, as well as steps on top of that. Because a few people said to me, God, your cardio didn't ever seem to get that high. Like some bikini athletes, they're doing like an hour and a half on the Stairmaster, and God, that's a madness. But I was trying to work out, by the time I've added up how long, say, 10 or 13k steps takes, it's still a lot of time each day doing cardio. But what I love about this is I can multitask, I can do work, and I don't get too out of breath. Like, it's not like I'm killing myself. Throughout my lean build phase, I'm definitely going to keep cardio in, just to minimize as much fat gain as possible. That's another thing, like, people, I feel like, automatically think, I'll cut cardio out totally, but then you can end up with a little bit more excess fat gain. Of course, fat gain comes with any muscle building phase, but you can definitely minimize it, and I just think that's better for your like overall health, keeping your cardiovascular health in check, and also for your mental health. Like, you don't want to go from drastic changes, and that's something I'll always keep. So with my cardio as well, sometimes I'll do a 30-minute easy run if I don't do the Stairmaster. It just depends what mood I'm in. And that's another thing, like keep elements of your routine nice and flexible so that it's just something that you can be adaptable to and keeps things a lot fresher. So something that I have changed, oh god, I've got hair, is I've started adding glutamine to, not to anything, literally just in a water form. The water form is better than an actual tablet. It really doesn't taste great. You can get flavoured ones, but I'm just trying to not have as much artificial flavourings. Glutamine can really help with improving your gut health, so that's why I'm currently taking it. That is always a goal of mine, and taking it fasted in the morning before I've eaten or drank anything is the best time, and in liquid form, and it can help with inflammation in the intestinal lining and a helpful shield for your immune system, so helping your body's repair, building proteins and repairing tissue. If you struggle with IBS, I feel like you might also find this useful. I've taken it consistently for about a week now. The only thing, it really doesn't taste great, but it's worth the benefits. Do you know what's making me laugh? Whenever I drink that, I imagine that advert, was it not Gaviscon? It's like an advert where it's like the guy, I think he's a guy is it a pink man in a coat? I hope you know what I'm on about, otherwise I'm just going to be really embarrassing myself. But whenever I drink glutamine, that's how I visualise it in my gut, and I feel like if you're a visual person as well, so when you take that fasted, obviously there's nothing much really sat in your actual stomach, so I just imagine this glutamine going down my gut lining, like making things all smooth, and that then can help with your food digesting better. Because when you're in any phase, whether it is muscle building, fat loss, your food needs to be, obviously, in order for it to be digested best, you need to have obviously good gut health and to be absorbing the nutrients properly from foods. So that's why it's really important to work on your gut health, and as well as reducing just bloating in general, tuning into what foods make you more, say, symptomatic to more bloating, and just either reducing, it doesn't have to be totally eliminating things, but like for me, for example, I find onions really randomly make me really bloated, but I find if I have less, so I was having like a whole red onion, you know, like if I'd air fried it or like popped it in to cook with something, that just sets me off, whereas if I have a quarter, a more like a smaller amount, doesn't react as badly. And just like looking at little things like that, rather than just totally saying, right, I need to eliminate everything from my diet, which can feel restrictive. I'm still going strong though with the instant coffee. Like I've got a coffee machine right there that doesn't see light of day. I started having coffees too strong, and I just feel like these are a little bit tamer. Like I can still get a big cup of coffee that tastes nice. Like I do like this Costa one that my girly Sasha put me on. I don't get the jitters. And then if I want a nice like proper coffee machine coffee, I can just get one out, which I prefer the experience of anyway. Do you see what I mean? Little things like that. Wraps up today's video. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I'm really excited for the next few months and building some lean muscle together. Let me know if you want me to make this into a series as well. And I've already mentioned, but I'm so excited for the January challenge, which is coming on the 13th of January, which is Lean and Aligned Part 2, our most popular workout challenge, which is going to be 8 weeks where we're focused on achieving your goals finally with a structured program, and it's going to have everything you need to reach those goals. If fat loss is one of yours, I have got you covered, and also just doing it in a more manageable way and that you feel confident with the whole process. It's also going to include weekly live calls with myself, Mason and other experts to go over any of your kind of struggle areas, so I'm really excited for that. You can find out more in the video's description as well, but I just wanted to also say thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.